It is officially the second half of Summer League. Who's making their mark that isn't already on the roster? And what do we have left to learn? Let's get ready for our back-to-back, a Summer League back-to-back here on Locked On Magic.
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And you are indeed Locked On Magic. Today is July 16th. It will be July 17th, 2024. My name is Philip Rossman-Reich. I'm the senior writer over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com. On today's episode of Locked On Magic, we're going to talk about some of the non-roster players making an impact for the Orlando Magic Summer League team, what they still have to prove, and why they deserve a longer look at the Magic's main roster. We'll get to Huff and Jarrett Culver coming up. Plus, what's left to learn at Summer League in the final two games before we get to maybe the tournament, maybe not. We'll find out here in the next couple days. But before we do any of that, we want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day, no matter when you listen to us, whether it's first thing in the morning, whether it's right when we upload. We truly appreciate you making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. Remember, there's a great Locked On podcast covering every single team in the NBA. Just search for Locked On and the team you're looking for, the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. There is a lot of excitement about the Orlando Magic Summer League team. We were sitting here last year lamenting, frankly, the construction of the team and the players that were missing from the team and what the team didn't have that didn't allow us maybe to see everything we wanted to see from that group. This year's team has all of that. Again, I've said this after both games, and I do really mean this. A lot of credit to Magic Summer League coach Lionel Chalmers. He has been fantastic, has this team ready to play, has really done a good job adjusting in the course of the game, has had everybody on that bench engaged and really feels like the regular Magic. And, that speaks to the culture that Jamal Mosley has built, but Jamal Mosley was in Vegas for the entire time that the Summer League team was preparing, working with the U.S. Select team. The fact that culture persists with his staff, again, big credit to Lionel Chalmers for carrying that torch and giving us a Summer League team to be excited about and having us have these conversations. I remember sitting here last year during Summer League saying, look, Jett Howard and Anthony Black are both obviously key players. They're the draft picks. Caleb Houston, we knew what we had. Kevon Harris looked good in his one game. But I remember sitting there as we got deeper and deeper into Summer League saying, I don't think anyone on the roster looks like an NBA player. Or I don't think anyone on the roster feels like someone that the Magic should make that major investment in, that big step of saying we are going to give them a two-way spot or whatever the case may be. I feel completely different about this year's team. I want to start with everybody's favorite center, a center that I was asked about when I was on open mic this morning or on Tuesday morning. Someone that is mentioned a lot in the comments, and that is Huff. Huff has made his mark on this team. And look, he's always been a very high-level Summer League player, very high-level G League player. He's someone that has been knocking on the door. And again, we're going to talk about Jarrett Culver. I would love to see a little bit more of Xavier Moon coming up here in the next couple of games. The Magic have high-level players on this Summer League roster. They are 2-0 because, yes, Anthony Black, Jett Howard, and Tristan da Silva are really good. But they're 2-0 also because Huff is an excellent screen setter, is a versatile offensive player at the very least. He will go up for a big dunk, a lot more mobile than you would think, as a solid three-point shooter for a player of his size, just does a lot of the little things that makes a team better. And look, it's not easy to perform in Summer League. And we'll talk about Jarrett Culver here in a minute, but it's not easy to perform in Summer League. All of these guys, all of these players are fighting for their jobs. And it can be chaotic. Honestly, to play at a high level, you're trying to stand out while also showing that you belong, because it's not about putting up as many shots as you can put up. It's not about getting the highest score that you can get. That's not what Summer League is for. And the players that are just gunning and taking a ton of shots, those aren't the players NBA teams want. A lot of these guys are just going to be filling in the back end of rosters. Unless you are a rookie, a recent draft pick, these guys are there to fill in the back end of rosters, to fill in the kind of remainder of the team. Jay Huff looks like a guy that can do that, because you could throw him in and he's going to set a hard screen. He's going to do those little things. It's not about his stats, and the stats have been good. I'm not going to sit here and deny that. He scored 13 points, grabbed 6 rebounds, including 3 offensive rebounds in Sunday's win over the Pelicans. He had 16 points and 6 rebounds in the win over the Cavaliers. Very solid counting stats numbers. But what Huff has done is he has transformed himself into someone that's not only tall, you obviously notice him because he's tall, but someone that can move around on the floor and do what his team needs him to do. The reason why we should all love what Jay Huff has done is that Jay Huff has been super selfless and has made Tristan da Silva's life easier, Anthony Black's life easier, and Jet Howard's life easier. He has allowed those players that we care about. Those are the roster players. Those are the players we want to see perform the most. He has allowed those players to play easier in this setting. And that's what you're looking for. Look, Jay Huff said after Sunday's game that the Magic were really the first team to express interest in him. It was the team that he chose. He believed there was the real opportunity, the way that they played, the culture that they have, the opportunity for him to make the roster. He believed this was the best place for him to showcase himself. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to sign with the Orlando Magic. He is running out of two-way time. I think he has one more year of two-way time left, but I might be wrong on that. The Magic obviously are pretty set at center with Goga Bitadze and Mo Wagner as the backups behind Wendell Carter. Jay Huff, while looking very impressive in Summer League, is certainly very limited. He had a lot of fouls. I think he had 6 fouls, he had 8 fouls, I think, in Sunday's game. Yves Missi really bugged him. That athleticism really bugged him. His shot has come a long way since his time at Virginia, and his defense has come a long way since his time at Virginia, but he is certainly not a mobile defender in the way that the Magic like. I like Jay Huff a lot. I think he has played really well. He's been perfect for what this team needs. Does that translate into what the Orlando Magic need in the fall? At the very least, I think Jay Huff has earned another two-way look if he can get it somewhere around the league. He was on a two-way contract with the Denver Nuggets last year, really spent the majority of his time with the Nuggets, even though he wasn't playing. He appeared in 20 games last year, played only, I think it was 18 games in the G League regular season. He is clearly a high-level G League player. Now can he take that next step up? And that is a question. That is uncertain. That is unknown. But Huff has clearly made his mark on this team. Huff has clearly done enough to make us all sit there and say, that's interesting. This is an interesting player. This is someone we would like to explore, would like to see more of, would like to see on this roster. More than that, he has embraced the opportunity. And that's what Summer League is about. It's about embracing and taking advantage of these opportunities. And that's exactly what Jarrett Culver has done, because while Jay Huff has put up the numbers, and obviously he's a center, it's easy to see him, what Jarrett Culver has done is equally as impressive. I'm going to talk a little bit about what we've seen from him so far coming up here in just a moment. But first, it's time for a quick word for our friends over at Gametime. Look, it is a busy sports season. Yes, the soccer tournaments are over, but we still got some big soccer games coming to Orlando, in addition to Orlando City, in addition to the number one team in the NWSL, the Orlando Pride. Leagues Cup is coming up. there's still a lot of sports to do here in Central Florida. And by the way, the Rays are in Tampa. And by the way, it won't be too long since we'll be getting ready to go back to the Kia Center to watch the Orlando Magic play. And if you want tickets to any of these great events here in Central Florida, Gametime is the place to go. Gametime makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Gametime app actually go down the closer it gets to the opening kickoff, tip-off, first pitch, however the game starts. I've used Gametime before to go to Rays games. I check prices on Gametime all the time, and I've checked this out and said, man, I should have waited. I know I like to have the tickets in my hands, or on my phone, whatever the analogy is. Gametime ticket prices are actually significantly lower the closer you get. So if you ever had that inkling, like I want to go to the Orlando City game today, check out Gametime and check out their prices. Gametime can help you save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and so much more. You can save even more with exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game or event. And with all-in pricing, they show you the total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. Plus, you can get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA. That's LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. We want to thank you for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. For your next listen, be sure to check out the Locked On Sports Today 24/7 streaming channel. It is a busy, busy time in sports, even if it is taking a little bit of a breather here with the MLB All-Star break. So get the lowdown on everything going on from the local experts who know their team best. Don't listen to the national guys. They're just dipping their toe in the water. You want the expert analysis from people who know their teams inside and out. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. That's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. The Orlando Magic have a starting lineup, obviously. And Anthony Black, Tristan da Silva, Jet Howard, those are the three players we care a lot about. We've talked a lot about them. I'll talk a little bit more about them here in our last segment as we get ready to get to the back half of Summer League and see how things are going to shake out. Jay Huff is obviously a big part of that as the team's starting center. He is someone that stands out and has stood out with the way that he's played. But Jarrett Culver has been just as impressive, to me at least, with the way that he has played and the support that he brings. Jarrett Culver has had a wild career at this point. The number 6 pick of the 2019 draft, he has struggled to find his footing in the NBA. He had his best season as a rookie, averaging about 9 points per game, and then saw his minutes drop really completely. He played about 10 games in 2023 with the Atlanta Hawks and was out of the league last year. He played in the G League last year for the whole season and had this outstanding season, averaging 20 points per game, averaging 20.2 points per game, shooting 38% from three. He looked really good. And this is a player who's a former top 10 pick. Not so long ago, a former top 10 pick. The talent is obviously there. The reason the Magic obviously like him is that he is an excellent defender. He has been used defensively throughout the Summer League. A look at Jarrett Culver's stats so far in Summer League are not going to be super impressive. He has scored, what is it? Let me make sure I have my numbers here. He scored only 16 total points on 5 for 14 shooting. He has 12 rebounds and 8 assists total in the 2 games. So he's contributing elsewhere. But he knows, and everybody knows, that his ability to play and make it to the NBA is going to be dependent on his ability to shoot. He has got to make shots in order to stay in the league. And obviously his two-way time is up. He has played 4 seasons in the NBA, so he's ineligible for a 2-way contract at this point. Culver has to show that he can shoot it. And he hasn't quite done that in this Summer League. I mean, we're not going to pretend otherwise. He's been willing to shoot, which is a big step. But the shots have not gone down. Having said that, he still looked really impressive, especially for the things the Magic value, especially on the back end of their roster. He has looked like someone who is engaged defensively, someone who wants to defend and can do so under multiple positions. He has looked like someone who is going to fit in. He's not trying to go out there and score as many points as possible in order to get himself a new contract. He knows his ticket to a new contract is, yes, making open shots when they come to him, but in moving the ball, in playing the right way. And that's been a major focus for him. He spoke to the Orlando media that's left in Vegas on Tuesday and said, I want to be a leader of this group too. I have been in the NBA for a little bit. He's trying to make it back, but he's taken on some of that leadership responsibility, some of that veteran responsibility to help this team be the best version of itself. As everyone likes to note, the players that do well in Summer League, the players that eventually end up on NBA rosters are usually on winning teams, are usually on the teams that win. And so while we're not so focused on results here in Summer League in Vegas, winning still matters. Contributing to winning still matters. And when you look at how Jarrett Culver has played, he has contributed to winning. He has made a positive impact on this team and for this team and for this group. The exact kind of impact you hope that a veteran Summer Leaguer, a veteran NBA player would do. And he's not tried to take over too much. This is obviously a big opportunity for Jarrett Culver. The Magic have an empty roster spot. And while I would say the Magic need to use that on more of a 3-4 hybrid instead of a 2-3, Jarrett Culver is the kind of player that we all know the Magic like. Someone who's going to come in, work hard, and defend first. Everything else they feel like they can fill in. Defense comes first. You want to play for this Magic team. Jed Howard said it a million times. If you want to play for this Magic team, you've got to defend. And that's who Jarrett Culver is. That's what has, I wouldn't say everyone's jumping out of the gym for him. I'm not going to sit here and pretend otherwise. I don't know if he has played well enough to earn that last roster spot, depending on what the Magic ultimately want to do with it. They're pretty loaded at that wing position. But Jarrett Culver has certainly earned a chance in my book. He has certainly earned a look. Someone in this league is going to give him at least an Exhibit 10. And the least the Magic could do for any of these guys, for Xavier Moon, for Jay Huff, for Jarrett Culver, is an Exhibit 10. Bring them into training camp. Keep them around the group. See where they take them. Jarrett Culver is on the last legs of his NBA career. He is fighting to maintain his NBA career. He delivered last year in the G League to earn another chance, to earn a spot like this. Now he has to continue taking advantage of that chance. And as the Magic begin to cycle out their key players, because Lionel Chalmers said everyone's going to get an opportunity. They haven't gotten an opportunity yet. The Magic have a back-to-back here. They're not playing guys on both nights of the back-to-back. They're going to flip some players out, some guys who haven't played yet. They're going to give them that chance. And perhaps that will be Jarrett's opportunity to prove his game has expanded in other ways. But in reality, the role that he's playing, that fifth starter role that he's playing for this team's starting lineup, that's the role he would play if he were back on the Magic, if he makes it to October. And while there are still rough edges that need to be filled out, and he still very much looks like a 15th guy, he has made some real progress. He has taken advantage of this opportunity and this chance. And that's going to carry him a long, long way. So we have 2 Summer League games down. We know we have 3 more to go. What's left to learn at Summer League? Let's talk a little bit about where the Magic go next and what they should be thinking of doing tonight against Memphis. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. The Orlando Magic continue their Summer League. They take on the Memphis Grizzlies tonight. I believe that is a 7 o'clock tip-off. That game will be on Bally Sports Florida here in Orlando. If you're not in Orlando, that game is only on ESPN plus ESPN3. Yes, even in Summer League, ESPN is finding ways not to air the Orlando Magic. We'll send our complaints elsewhere. I would bet that the Bally Sports broadcast is the ESPN feed, so it'll be like watching on ESPN. Dante, David, and Jeff aren't in Vegas for this. It's okay. But this third Summer League game is usually about the time we start to see the Magic cycle some players out. Like I said, everyone's going to get their opportunity. Lionel Chalmers is going to play the Talon Coopers, give Charles Bediako maybe a little bit of a longer look, give some of these other players who are on this roster their opportunity to play. And we have a back-to-back coming up here on Wednesday, Thursday. If the Magic starters do play, if Tristan da Silva, Anthony Black, and Jet Howard do play, they're not playing in both games. I would bet they'll play Wednesday and not Thursday. And then whether they play any further might depend on whether the Magic are actually in the Summer League playoffs or not. Having said that, I still think there is more to learn. And I still think that these games are really valuable, especially for Anthony Black. I think I made this clear after Sunday's game. I do think Anthony Black should play one more game. I don't know if Tristan da Silva or Jet Howard necessarily need to play one more game. Look, I've seen enough from Tristan da Silva. I feel pretty comfortable that we've learned a lot from him. Just playing him would be just to play him at this point, which is fine. I think that's an okay goal to have. Jet, I think we've seen enough from Jet to confirm progress and to say, okay, he has taken some steps forward. He's looked really good. Maybe if you're going to play him a third game, give him some more on-ball reps, give him a little bit more playmaking responsibilities, kind of just start expanding his role and seeing how he responds to it a little bit. And I think the Magic started doing that in Sunday's game. But, I think Jet Howard has really delivered and made the most of this opportunity in Summer League. Anthony Black is the one guy that I think does need to play a third game. And that's more because Sunday's game was so rough. I said it after the game. I said it during the game. I did not think Anthony Black played particularly well. And frankly, it was somewhat disappointing because we know what Anthony Black is capable of. We expected him to look like the sure-handed veteran in this group. And it's well not that he was turning the ball over. He had 3 turnovers. It was just the speed of his decision-making and how New Orleans kind of pressured him and made him uncomfortable. And look, that's fine. Like, this is where you want to make those mistakes. But what I want to see, at least as an observer, is how he responds to those mistakes. I'm not freaking out about Anthony Black's performance. I'm not freaking out and saying, oh, he didn't play great or he isn't showing us the shooting chops or the playmaking chops. He has shown us a lot this summer. We know the defense is going to be there. I think he's worked hard to expand his offense. I think the biggest thing for him is learning how to control his tempo, control his speed. And that's really the point guard skill that he needs more than anything else. Controlling his speed, controlling his tempo, not letting the opponent dictate what he's going to do. I think that is the biggest thing for him to learn, to take away from the Summer League experience. But he failed at that. And he stepped up in the fourth quarter. I don't want to take anything away from that. When the chips were on the line, when the game was on the line, Anthony Black made some really big plays, got his composure back, played excellent down the stretch, and ensured the Magic got the win. And again, winning isn't the most important thing in Summer League, but it isn't unimportant. It's good to win. I'm not going to be upset about wins. Anthony Black made some huge plays that ensured the Magic were 2-0. I'd like to see AB just kind of bounce back. Honestly, that's more what it is than anything else. I have every faith that he will, that he can. We know what he's capable of doing. I just want to see it. I want to see how he responds to a game where he probably wasn't so happy with how he played. And I think that's what I'd like to see Wednesday, especially if Zach Edey is playing. I don't know if Memphis is going to play Zach Edey or not on Wednesday, but seeing Zach Edey and seeing a big presence in the paint, seeing how the Magic attack that would be really interesting to me. That would be a big learning lesson, and obviously a big test for Jay Huff, which if he passes that test, then yeah, sign him up. To me, that's really what I want to see. To me, Summer League is always about the progression, and the Magic like to play their main guys 2 games and take them out. I would like to see a third game for AB specifically, I wouldn't mind seeing a third game for all three, knowing that we have a back-to-back. That might make it more amenable. Now, the next thing is that, yes, winning does matter. The Magic are in the race to be in the Summer League playoffs. That is undeniable at this point. And, if you can get to 4-0, if you can, you're looking at teams, there are 9 teams right now that are 2-0. You get to 3-0, you are in the race. The Grizzlies are one of those teams. They're actually first place right now. The Magic are in third. This is still a team that has a little something to play for, even if it's a small carrot. It's something. And if you're an organization that's about winning, you're about winning from top to bottom. I think it matters. It's something to play for, but I do expect that Lionel Chalmers will play secondary players more now. I am expecting that the Magic will kind of start easing off the roster a little bit and give us a chance to look at some other players. Look, we've seen what Jarrett Culver can do. We can see what Jay Huff can do. Xavier Moon played really well in the second half and the third quarter specifically of Sunday's game. That is a high-level G League player. That is a player who is one of the best players in Summer League coming off the Magic's bench. He's going to get his opportunity to shine and get his opportunity to put up some points. And, we'll see if that earns him a roster spot. We'll see if that earns him a two-way spot. We'll see if that earns him, a contract elsewhere. Xavier Moon is a high-level player, and I think we'll see him play. And, there's several other players I think would look good and will get some opportunity here coming up. And obviously the Magic just kind of want to see what they have in them, like more than anything else. The Magic also have an Osceola Magic roster to fill. Going to be a lot of changes to the Osceola Magic from last year too. So there's still a lot to learn here in Summer League. It is, we're almost ready to pack up shop. I'm recording this at 9:47 p.m. on Tuesday. So, maybe by the time you're listening to this, the Magic will have told us that they're sitting guys or if guys are playing. But I still think there is still something to gain from seeing the main guys out there for one more game, whether they play the next game, whether if they make the Summer League tournament, if they make the Summer League tournament, if they end up bringing those guys back to try and go for a trophy, we'll find out. But I think there's still a lot to learn and still a lot to gain here from Summer League. But that's going to do it for me today. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. Of course, find me on Twitter at @PhilipRR_OMD. Subscribe to the podcast and Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Himalaya, Google Play, Spotify, Odyssey, and all of them my sound podcasts to your podcast-enabled listening device. For the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can, of course, find us there on Twitter at @OMagicDaily. And for even more Orlando Magic content, be sure to check out my Patreon page, the Orlando Magic Hub, at patreon.com/Orlando Magic Hub. And as always, thank you for your support. As always, too, my immediate game reactions, my immediate game stories are being posted to my Patreon page first before they go up to Orlando Magic Daily. So if you want early access to those, about an hour or so after the game, that's the place to go. Again, check it out, patreon.com/Orlando Magic Hub. Now that you're done listening to me, be sure to check out the Locked On Sports Day 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube and now available on Amazon Fire TV and in the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Day is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Day now available on the free Fire TV channels app. That's going to do it for me today, though. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. On tomorrow's episode of Locked On Magic, we will break down the Magic's game against the Memphis Grizzlies. We'll see what we can learn from that. But until then, for Orlando Magic Daily and Locked On Magic, this has been Philip Rossman-Reich. We'll see you all again next time for another episode of Locked On Magic.